Hi, my name is Judy Rowan and welcome to Over the Hill Yoga. This segment today is all about health and wellness in our hips. Those hips are so important. They join our legs to our body and they also join our low back to our legs, and so it's a very integral part of our body that we need to loosen and stretch, not just for yoga, but also for performance in other sports. Even just walking, you need to have healthy hips. So I'm glad you're joining us today and we're going to get going. Once we're on our back, let's do some pelvic rocking to bring some awareness to the low back. So with the feet flat on the floor, knees bent, I want you to draw the belly button down, curl the tailbone up, and then release yourself back to your natural neutral position. Let's do that a few more times. Draw the belly button down, curl the tailbone up, and release. And then can you do that 3 or 4 more times on your own, pelvic rocking back and forth. Should feel really good on your low back, the middle of your sacrum. Creating a little space there, a little awareness. Good. And then the next time you draw the belly button down and flatten your low back, float your right knee up off the mat and hug the right knee towards the top of your right shoulder. And then release your hands, extend the right leg straight, flex the right foot, and then draw the right knee back to the top of the right shoulder, and then replace the right foot on the floor. Let's do the left side. So draw the left knee in, give it a little hug towards the top of the chest. Release the knee, straighten the left leg, press out, flex the foot. Draw the knee back in again, give it a little hug, and then release the left foot to the floor. Let's do that right side again. So take the right knee in, extend it straight, bring it back in again, foot down, left knee in, extend straight, knee in and down, and one more time. Draw the belly button down, squeeze the knee in, extend it straight, flex the foot, bring the knee in, replace the foot on the floor, and last time let's bring the left knee in, extend the leg straight, bring the knee in, and replace it on the floor. For just a second, straighten both legs, flex both feet, inner legs together. If you feel like taking a nice stretch with the arms overhead, wiggle the wrists away, flex the feet. Then circle the arms around down by your side, please, and bend the right knee and bring it in towards the top of the right shoulder again. Moving into this total range of motion for the right hip here, we're going to take the left hand and extend it out sideways to the mat and drop the right knee out over the right edge of the mat. So holding for 2 or 3 breaths, just letting that inner groin stretch. Reclined hip opener. And then let's bring that knee through the center, change left hand to right knee, right arm comes out, and this is just a little stretch to the left side for the right IT band. Take a couple breaths into the stretch on your outer right hip, outer right thigh. Then bringing it back to center, interlace both hands behind your right hamstring. Extend the leg straight to the sky, getting into the hamstring here of the right leg. I'm going to bend my elbows, a few pulses, taking some nice regular breaths as I do this. And then eventually drawing the leg more closely to my face or my chest. And an option here to lift up, even take those hands a little higher on your leg. Bring your back and shoulders down again. Slide your hands lower on your leg if you did. Bend that left knee again. And then turn the right knee out and cross the right ankle over the left knee. Pause here for a moment. Use your right hand to press away on your inner right thigh. And then float your left foot up off the mat. Find something to hang on to on that left leg, the hamstring or the kneecap. Flex both feet and just explore what's happening again a little more deeply in your right hip. Take a few breaths into this sensation. One more breath in. Exhale out. And then something fun coming up. I'm going to have you plant your left foot, uncross your right, and then scoot a little bit towards the right side of your mat, please. Okay? You're going to rock onto your left side body, maybe creating a pillow for your head with your left shoulder. Good. And then with your right hand on top of your right thigh, float that right leg up and slide your right hand down your shin, perhaps to your ankle or your foot. So as you press back through your right heel, pause for a moment. It's like you're standing on a wall with your right flexed foot. And then contract your gluteus muscles behind your pelvis. and press forward with the glutes towards the front side of your hips. And then draw that right heel behind you just a little bit more. You recognize this as King Dancer's pose, but lying on your side. And then gently release the right leg down. We're going to come back onto our backs, hug our knees to our chest, maybe pulse those like you're marching. Good. And then bring the feet back down to the mat, extend the right leg straight, press out through that right heel, and bring your hands to your left knee and bring it in towards the top of your shoulder. Again, nice glute stretch, upper hamstring stretch. And then left hand only to the left leg, right arm reaches out. We'll let that left knee drift over the left side of the mat. Maybe look to the right. And again, breathe into the front of your pelvis, into your inner left groin. And keeping that right straight leg active, sweep the leg across your body and change hands. Right hand to the outer left leg, left hand comes out to the left side, and we'll just stay here for the IT band stretch here. I'm using my right fingers to kind of draw my left knee diagonally away from my left hip. Couple deep breaths. Coming flat onto my back again, I'm going to interlace my fingers behind my left hamstring and kick that left heel to the sky. There's always that option to come up a little higher with your hands as well. A little pulsing until you finally take that leg as straight as you can get it. Option to lift your head towards your knee. Belly button firming down towards the mat. And eventually the head and shoulders come back down again. Let's rebend that right leg, right foot on the floor. Turn your left knee out and cross that left ankle across and above your right knee. Left hand to the inner left thigh presses away. Maybe your right hand just presses down on that inner right hip. Anything that feels good creates space in the front of the pelvis. And then float the right foot up off the mat, please. Interlace hands behind hamstring or kneecap. And just play around here for 5 breaths. Relaxing the upper body, filling the lungs in all directions. We've got that fun side-lying King Dancer pose coming up. So I'm going to gently uncross my legs, bring my feet to the floor, scooch a little bit to the left side of my mat, and then rock to the right onto the right side body, finding a cushion for my head. Knees are bent. Left hand on top of left thigh. Let's float that up a little bit, and then slide your hand down your leg, lower shin, ankle, or foot. Draw the belly button back, and then press that left heel back behind you. Back behind you. Pause here. Contract both gluteus muscles, both buttocks, and squeeze them forward towards the front of your hips, the front of your pelvis, while you draw that left heel back. You got it. This is for your psoas and your hip flexor. It's so important for healthy hips. Take one more breath, and then very gently release the legs together. Let's roll onto our backs. How about a little happy baby here before we come up? So grab in between your legs, grab your heels or your ankles. If you like to rock a little bit back and forth, just notice how those hips are feeling here. We have 2 options to come up to tabletop, hands and knees. Number 1 is to rock and roll ourselves forward and back. The other would be just to come to your side, push into your hands, and we'll all meet in tabletop, hands and knees. Once we get up, swing those legs around to the side, and coming on up here. We said with hips, it's really important to loosen the back, so let's do a few cat-cows here on hands and knees. Just lowering the belly gently, curling the tailbone up, looking ahead, and then rounding the back towards the sky, chin to chest, tailbone down. Do 3 or 4 sets of that. Working with the breath. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Come to the flat back tabletop. I'm going to take my right leg, float my right knee, and step my right foot off my mat to the right. So my hands are under my shoulders. So moving more into the SI joint of the right hip, I'm going to walk my hands back underneath my chest and then press the mat away from me as my hips float back towards my back heel. It's important not to sit on your back heel. You want to keep the hips elevated, but you want to keep shifting the hips back. If you'd like to make a couple of fists and rest your head here or tuck a block underneath there, it's all good. You can try to lift your arch on your right foot a little bit, stimulate the energy along the inner thigh line, and you can rock to the inside of your foot and lift your baby toe. And then flatten that right foot again. Take a few more breaths here, just gently encouraging your hips in a backward direction. And then planting your hands under your shoulders, take a look at your right foot and just tick-tock it back to the mat out in front of you, to the right lane of the mat. Walk your hands forward to shift your hips forward, please. And then bring your hands to your right lifted thigh, circling the shoulders back and down. So let's keep our emphasis on the hips here today. I want you to feel your hip creases, maybe draw the skin up and over the hip creases, and then firm up both of those buttocks behind you and press forward, driving forward through the right knee. Again, left psoas and hip flexor really active here. Good. Perhaps we can take our hands behind our back, roll the shoulder blades together, lift those fists, just feel a little bit of heart opener here. Couple more breaths, please. And then we're going to do the half splits with the right leg out in front. I've brought my blocks today, so I can bring the floor or the mat a little closer to my chest. So as I pull back through the belly button, pull back through the pelvis, trying to drag my left heel back, I feel the lengthening on the underside of the right leg. It's that hamstring again, super important for healthy hips. And then an option today to take that right baby toe and lower it down towards the right edge of the mat. Maybe hop your left hand over to meet your right on the mat or the block. Soften your shoulders, soften your elbows, and shift your hips left, 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 away from your hands. Find your breath. This particular stretch works really nicely with the last one we did with the leg out to the right side. And then I'm going to straighten up again, take my blocks off to the side, shift forward so I can take that right knee behind me and do a couple cat-cows to neutralize the spine. Again, working mostly on our hips today in this workshop moment. Good. Pause for a moment. I'm going to take my left leg and take it out to the side of my mat. Walk my hands underneath me, bend my elbows a little bit, and keep shifting my hips back towards the space above my right heel. Again, the option to support your third eye on your stacked palms or a block. I want you to take at least 5 really nice breaths into that left back hip, so the SI joint there. You can lift your left arch, lift the medial edge of your foot, or you can lift the baby toe edge of your foot just for a little variation. And then flatten the foot again as you gently shift the hips back for that last couple breaths. When you're ready, lift your head and heart, plant your hands. Just look out there at your left foot and tick-tock it around and to the front of your mat. I'm bringing along some leaves with me today. It's kind of fun. Walk your hands forward to shift your hips forward. And then come up to kneeling, circling the shoulders back and down. Let's drag the skin away from the knees up towards the hip creases. That's it. You find it. Perfect. Firmly contract your buttocks behind you, perhaps grasping your hands, and then press forward. Glute muscles pressing forward towards the front of your hip creases. And maybe this time we'll just look up a little bit towards whatever is above us. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Our right psoas is thanking us for that. Half splits with the left leg forward. Float the left toes. Shift your hips back. Flexed front foot. There's a little dragging motion here. Center in the belly button, pulling back. Hinging forward over that front leg, trying to create some space underneath the left thigh. And then that wonderful IT stretch option. The left baby toe lowers to the left side of the mat or in that direction. The right hand hops over next to the left, softening shoulders, elbows, and arms. Shift your hips to the right, away from your hands. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. One more breath, please. We'll lift away from the earth, come back to face forward. Shift my hips forward just a little bit so I can wing that left leg behind me, a cat and a cow to neutralize your spine. And then hooray, I'm going to let you go up into downward facing dog if you care to, just for a nice symmetrical stretch. Straighten the legs, straighten the arms. Concentrate on how the hips feel in downward facing dog today, right? Peeling open the back of the hamstrings, lifting your hip creases, heels lowering to stretch the calf muscles. And then moving on to pigeon pose, really kind of that cumulative pose, right, for the right hip. We're going to lift the right leg up towards the sky and then bring the right knee towards the right wrist, the right foot over to the left. Slide your left leg back behind you. Walk your hands under your shoulders and just take a nice front side stretch here. And then lower down, stacking your hands under your third eye. Always use a prop under that right hip for some support, some safety. And we'll take a good 5 breaths here. Softening the belly, softening the shoulders. Checking in with that right hip, see how it's doing. And one more breath, please, because we have more hips to come. On your next inhale, float up away from the earth. I'm going to remove the prop from under my right hip. Scoot over to my right hip and swing my left leg around to the front of the mat. And then I'm going to take both hands to my right knee and give it a little thank you hug to my right shoulder, just pulsing in and out. So moving into cow's face pose, Gomukhasana, I'm going to swing that right knee across, right foot grounded on the outside of the left foot. Perfect. And then slide your right foot further back, so it's outside your left hip. If you have your left leg straight in front, it's the half Gomu version. If you choose to fold your left leg underneath you, it's what we call full Gomukhasana. And then just sit with this for a moment. This is a lot. Roll the shoulders back and down. Maybe reach behind, grab wrists, forearms, or elbows. Draw the belly button back and hinging at the hip creases, float your heart out over your top knee, releasing energy out of your glutes behind you. So no clenched glute muscles here. Perfect. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. On the next inhale, float up and out of this. Last pose on this side is to ground the right foot. Perfect. Ardha Matsyendrasana. I'm going to take my left hand to my right knee and sweep the right hand behind my back, pressing down into the earth. Now think about hips here, releasing energy downward out of your sacrum and your tailbone. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, twist towards your right shoulder, please. And again, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. We've got one more to go. Inhale. Exhale. Perfect. On your next breath, turn back to face your mat. Swing the legs behind you, downward facing dog for a few breaths. And then we'll get ready for those 3 poses on the left side. Your hips should be starting to feel delicious at this point. When you're ready, lift the left leg up. Drive the left knee towards the left wrist. Press back through that rear right leg. Uncurl the toes. Walk your hands under your shoulders. Do a nice front side opener. Lift your heart. And then nice and easy, come on down. Stacked hands, a block, any way you want your arms here. Maybe a prop underneath that left hip. 5 breaths. Link your breath to your sensations here for the deepest experience of the pose. Couple more inhales. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, and then here we go. Walking the hands back underneath the chest, removing the prop. Yeah. I'm going to shift to the left and swing my right leg around in front. Okay. Float my left knee up towards the top of my shoulder. Give it a few pulses. It feels so good after pigeon, right? And then swing that foot around to the opposite. I'm stacking my left knee on top of my right thigh. left baby toe grounded. And then the full version of Gomukhasana is with the underneath knee bent as well. Pick either right leg straight or right knee bent. Circle the shoulders back and down. As you do that, breathe in, grab wrists, arms, or elbows. Try to dump energy below the waist down into your seat, and then hinge forward over that floating top knee. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. One last breath here. Inhale, exhale, inhale. Let's pull back through the shoulders. Let's sit up straight. Final pose. Ground that left foot flat on the floor just outside your right kneecap. Right hand to left knee. Left arm reaches behind you. Fingertips to the mat or the floor. And then root down into your hips, rise up through the crown. A rotational turn. On your next exhale, gently twist left. And again, inhale, root down, rise up. Exhale, twist left. And one last time, please. Inhale. Exhale, twist. So nice. On the next inhale, gently turn forward. And then very gently, when you're facing forward, let's just do one symmetrical pose before we come down onto our backs. So Baddha Konasana. Feel free to use something under those outer hips. Grab those ankles, shoulders back and down, feet together, knees apart. Drift your heart out over your heels. Keep your chin lifted for the first couple breaths. Get the most spinal extension you can. And then go ahead and tuck your chin down and roll down into this beautiful diamond of space. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Coming to the end. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fold those knees together. Come down onto your back, please. Maybe hug your knees to your chest because your hips really want that. And then if you have time, only if you have time, place your feet on the floor, grab a block or a pillow, and slip it underneath your hips for a little restorative rest. Pressing the hips upward, and either keeping the knees bent, toes turned in, or stretching your feet long to the edges of the mat, just for a minute or two. It's like taking your soup off the boil, right? And just putting it on the back burner to let all the flavors melt together. You can smell it, you know it's good, but you just have to let it sit for a little while. And just be present with your sensations. Check in with your right thigh and your left thigh, your right hip crease, your left hip crease, your right buttocks, your left buttocks, with your low belly and your low back. Trying to release energy that might be harnessed there, just giving it up to the yoga universe, and giving thanks for this time that you've been able to spend opening your hips. You feel like you've had enough time with that. I'm going to rebend my knees, press into my feet, lift up, take my prop out from underneath, roll to one side, come up to seated, and say namaste.